see if he tries to go back before I can get back to it. You idiot standing over there with that guy in the white room.
Walk away. Oh no! Sounds just like Robert. I went back the next day. He said he left the stuff at get up to Dolly over there at DHS when I was out there with him.
God.
Hey, you guys know what time it is?
11:14.
Thanks.
That day, I think we might have one in the truck. Could you? Or please. Because I have my first aid kit in the car.
Yeah. If not, you know, you can use electrical tape.
You know what? Okay.
Yeah, but let me make
If she
sure.
has some, okay? Because I don't know how that either.
What are you gonna do? Put a box on?
Yeah. I'm going to connect it right now. Real fast. Real fast.
Hey, so do they pay you well?
Yeah, you can plug it up if you want.
Huh?
If you want to plug something else, so go ahead and plug it up.
Oh, I don't want to know. Are you gonna drill anymore?
Yeah, I got to drill this box on there. I got to connect the hoses and everything, and we're done. So,
Well, as soon as you're done, or as soon as you're done drilling, I'll plug everything back in.
okay. You
Hopefully,
got
nobody will bother me about it.
it. No, you got it. I understand.
So do they pay you well for doing this?
It's okay. I mean,
Not bad.
it pays the bill. I guess.
So what are you, a masonry?
No, I'm well, they call it a National Field Service Technician.
Everybody's got a title nowadays.
They just make it longer and longer until it doesn't mean nothing, but you gotta do all the work.
Oh, absolutely.
That's what it means.
I asked them what time it was because if these two over here, if they create any problems concerning plugging my shoe in, or any problems concerning this or anybody else, it will happen at a later time. After I predict it.
What's my credit score amongst you guys? Say, what's my credit score amongst you guys?
Staging events and gang stalking crimes with these little psycho dudes that they prop props along the victim's route and try to interject themselves within anything that they feel that they can approach the victim about, because they know that they can display it in a way to where it will make it appear as just a normal appearing request, and then they try and blow up a drama and an incident concerning it. Oh, you've been here for a while, so it's our turn now. We've been waiting. That's what gang stalking does. Because what it does is it tracks you on a route and it pops up the fucking useful idiots and lowlifes and bums and drug addicts and social deviants. And they force themselves upon your boundaries, your physical boundaries. But they do it in a way to where they're just acting like, well, I'm just here trying to do something. And she's preventing me, and she's been here for a long time. And it's called street theater, really, where they play out physical and verbal theatrics towards the victim in order to try and suck the victim into a drama. Absolutely. The main thing they're after, though, is entrainment and possible speech choreographing. Let me give you an example of what I mean about monitoring subvocal speech monitoring and forcing the victim into verbal replies. In order to force the victim into a verbal reply, they got to interject themselves within the situation that the victim is doing. Alright? So say if you're using like an electronic handicap card. Okay? What they'll do is prop up a disabled psycho, male, female, elderly person, whatever. And then they'll come up to me and they'll say, can I use this? I really need to use it. And the people who are hosting this, that are popping them out, they know you're tired because this crime intentionally does things to make you tired. They know you're running around all day with your bike, taking on and off buses. They know you're putting up with a lot of mental bullshit propped up with these psychos. So one of the main goals of gang stalking is to push you mentally while pulling you emotionally all day, every day, everywhere you go. Okay? And so they feel that by the time you get to a certain place, you're going to be tired mentally, you're going to be tired physiologically, because this crime is designed in order to wear you out mentally, emotionally, electrophysiologically, because you're doing things that always create anxiety. Okay? So what they do is they know that they can't just walk up to you and try and suck into a drama. So what they'll do is they'll feed on what you're doing. So if you can charge chargers, that's probably a bunch of homosexuals. Charge their chargers too. And then we say, well, no, I'm going to be here for a while. And then they say, well, we've already been waiting for a while. Okay. And then when you say, hey, look, I'm not done yet, and then they try and keep drawing you into a confrontation. But getting back to the disabled person, so say if you're using one of those electronic cards, because remember, gang stalking has to interject itself on something you're doing so they can apply a normal apparent reason concerning why they're interjecting themselves. They're not going to walk up to you and say, hey, we're gonna stage a gang stalking event because we want to be able to suck you into a drama in order to provoke you to act out verbally, mentally, or physically. Of course not. Now remember, one of the goals connected to this crime could be about speech choreographing. In order to speech choreograph you, now they're leaving, they got the rule instructions on their phone. Now in order to suck you into a drama, they got to try and interject themselves in a way to where it looks like they're interacting with you as over a normal issue. Okay? So what they'll do is they'll fiend on what you're doing. So they bring it, you're using one of those electronic disabled cards, right? That you use in grocery stores. And so what they'll do is these little psycho maggots who host this crime, what they'll do is they'll prop up a disabled person, even an elderly person, like old grandma. Why would an old grandma be gang stalking you? Would be their plausible deniability, their excuse. But what would be possibly one of the main goals of why they would do this? Check it out. Whenever a gang stalking victim, now the following is what's reported online. So it's reported online that people are propped up along the victim's routes, including entrances and exits of any place they go, businesses, libraries, grocery stores, you name it. Now, when Dr. Robert Duncan was on the Clyde Lewis show, Ground Zero, on 9/04/2015, he openly discussed, subvocal speech, remote neural monitoring, choreographing. Now, that occurs by and through, forcing the victim into a mental reply, internally and or verbally. Now, you got to be able to suck them into a specific type of mental reply. So if you got a disabled person who's coming up into your space, intentionally propped up, and they're asking to use the disabled card that you're using, well, the people who host this crime know that they've already propped up multiple people in the past, so they know you're going to recognize that to be a repeated identical act. But they just use different people for it each time, all right? So they know that when they approach you, they know that the victim is going to recognize that this is staged, all right? And so the victim knows that this person, no matter if they're disabled or not, they know that the person is propped up intentionally. So the victim is tired. They don't want to get up because they already know that if the person wasn't propped up, they wouldn't have to get up. So the victim will say no. Then the victim's got to look for an excuse concerning why they're saying no to a disabled person. So the person in the cart then might say, oh, well, no, I use this because I got a bad back. Okay? Now, if you can choreograph that speech that the victim said in their excuse concerning why they didn't want to get up, because otherwise the person can go in and complain. Okay, the victim doesn't have a walking cane or anything. So the person who's asking them is an elderly person who does. So what would be the victim's defense then? Well, they got to make up some excuse concerning why they want to continue to use the cart. So the victim might all of a sudden have this thought in their head, well, geez, I use this because I got a bad back. All right? Right? So this is occurring either right on the inside of the door where the electronic carts are or right outside. Hold on.
Hey, what are you guys doing in there?
Right? So now, if the victim who's in Wi-Fi range, which is one of the main massively reported conduits concerning concerning that remote neural monitoring runs through it, and the victim is within that Wi-Fi range, and they're monitoring the subvocal speech of the victim as they're forcing the victim into a reply. Look at that reply. I use this because of my back, right? So let's say then 5-6 months down the road, the victim is along their routes, and someone stages some dumbass bullshit complaint about the victim, and all of a sudden the cops pull up. All right? So now the cops have pulled up. All right? And the cops approach the victim and say, we got a report of a drunk person in the area who's acting all wild and crazy. Well, you're just sitting there minding your own friggin' business, right? And so And so the cops then looks for normal apparent probable cause to search the victim's duffel bag, right? So then the cops search the victim's duffel bag and might find some type of illegal prescription drugs. And then the cop says, well, what are you doing with this? And then that speech that victim had when the victim was replying to the disabled person concerning the electronic hurt can be stimulated to come out of that victim's mouth. Oh, I just used this because of my back. Well, then do you got a legal prescription? Now, how did it get into the duffel bag? Well, maybe because the victim went to the library on a subsequent day in between the grocery store event and the event where they staged this bullshit between the cop and the victim. And then when the victim was at the library and they got up to go maybe to the bathroom or whatever, they left their duffel bag behind, and then some wild skank went in the duffel bag and placed them in there. And so this is how we can start to begin to see how the gang of gang stalking is where everybody will play their role. Everyone. Okay? So what do you think forced induced speech is connected to remote neural monitoring, connected to gang stalking on the internet? Why do the gang stalking victims constantly have to fiend off people that are intentionally propped up in their environments? Why do you think that maybe it's possible when you got a victim who might be experiencing something like this, does the host know that the victim knows about forced speech and subvocal speech choreographing? And the fact that this crime will intentionally prompt you and push you into a verbal reply? Because how many different replies can you have when a disabled person is asking you to use the cart and you don't want to get up because you know it's a staged event? You're tired. They know you're tired, so they know you're not going to want to get up. So, at that time when they're asking you to use the cart and you're looking for an excuse, a normal apparent excuse concerning why you won't get up, can they possibly use voice-to-skull with voice morphing to put that idea in your head to say that particular thing for the speech choreographing? So, what these little maggots will do is that they'll fucking prop up these low-life, useful idiots, and they'll make sure that they prop them up in a way to where they park their car way down there, or maybe over here where you can't see their license plate without maybe walking over there. You walk over there and your shit's left over here in order to get their license plate number. Okay? That's a fucking loosely. I am massively gang stalked with this fucking story here. Mom's grocery store. Now, you should go to Google and type in at Google gang stalking and human trafficking. Okay? Absolutely. Now, let me just give you another tidbit of information. Another thing gang stalking crimes will do is that before they will physically use a person to interject with you, physically interact with you, what they'll do is they'll prop them up. They'll have them park at a certain amount of distance so you can't see their license plate. And then they'll prop them up to walk by you as you're standing over here, minding your own business, charging your chargers, which you were given permission to do. And then they'll get out of the car and then they'll walk by you and they'll either say suck dick or gang stalk or oh my god. Now that's done to let the victim know that they are actually here because of this, even though they'll pretend like they're just shoppers and doing their own thing. That way, later on in the day or the next week when they're used, the victim will know the truth because the little psychos have already been anchored in the victim's mind to be connected to this stupid crime. So, anyone and everyone can research what I'm stating concerning this criminal reality.
So how's it going, guys?
We're moving with progress. I need
Absolutely. So, anyways, how can you set up a victim who doesn't know anything about this by and through exposing everything you know that they are capable of doing? Everything. An ex-CIA scientist, Dr. Robert Duncan, who was on the Ground Zero show, openly stating that subvocal speech choreographing is a methodology of remote neural monitoring connected to these criminal realities, then you can see that type of action, that type of covert action, can be accomplished and then turned around and stimulated for forced speech during a staged event. So how do you think they're setting up all these people all over the country? So when you research voice to skull with voice morphing, do you think that they can put the idea in anybody's head in their own voice print to go have a drink? They go have a drink. I don't drink, by the way. They go have a drink, and then an organized crime syndicated cop pulls them over and arrests them for DUI. There's $10,000 right there. Over one simple act that can be done remotely without the victim being consciously aware that that choice was influenced by and through a remote neural technology interface. They can get that victim to act on that, track the victim to where they go to have that drink, wait outside for the victim to leave, and they are now set up for a DUI. There's $10,000 over one remote, covertly, neurally influenced act. That's right, baby Kate. It's occurring all over the country. So I think now you can start to see how police officers, salaries and pensions are being paid for, as well as public workers, where they'll fiend off a victim for 30 years in a row. They're using this tech in multiple ways in order to exploit average, everyday citizens who are out there busting their ass off trying to make a living. And while these human trafficking whores prop up this shit so they can feed off of the livelihood of completely innocent, ignorant human beings. My name is Leslie Williams. I made this video to inform to expose truth. Be sure it's my description. Have a good day.
Hey, do you guys know today's date?
The 14th. It's the 14th.
Oh, the 14th already? Hey, wait a minute. Your truck has been sitting there for a long time.
Not really.
Yeah, it has, because it was sitting here when I got here.
I've been in
That one right there?
It's 4:30. Yeah.
That says Restaurant Technologies. It was sitting here when I got here 3 hours ago. What have you guys been doing?
Oh, yeah.
Were you working inside?
I'm working.
No, seriously, how much longer are you going to be, hon?
I'm trying to find a little quick.
I'm not rushing, I'm just asking you.
Seems like it, bro.
About 10 minutes?
Yeah, 10 more minutes.
10 more minutes?
Yes,
All right.
less than 10 minutes.
All right. Thank you.
I don't know where my little clippers are.
Hey, let me, are you guys union?
No, we don't get paid enough for union.
Okay, and in closing, you should also research the fire department in gang stalking, including their EMS services. Ain't nothing like breaking down a gang stalking victim when they hit them with directed energy weapons and electromagnetic weapons, extreme torture until their mind and body gives out. Then they can use voice to skull with voice morphing to trick the victim into believing they can't take anymore. You better call 911. Now the victim goes to the hospital, and there you got medical insurance fraud. Have a good day, everybody.